Hey everyone, and welcome back to Sean Synapse. All right, let's get right to the trivia question from last time because I know you're all dying to know the answer. If you remember, the question was, who is the only NFC team never to play in the Super Bowl? And the answer is the Detroit Lions. In fact, they are one of 4 teams never to play in the Super Bowl. The other 3 are the Cleveland Browns, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Houston Texans. But for those of you who said the Detroit Lions, good job. However, the Detroit Lions do have 4 NFL championships prior to the Super Bowl era starting. They won the championship in 1935 against the New York Giants, and then they won it back-to-back years in 1952 and 1953, both against the Cleveland Browns, and then they won it again in 1957 against the Cleveland Browns. Wait a minute. So you're telling me the Lions and the Browns were good in the 50s? Who would have thought? Okay. I want to talk about the NFC and the AFC championship weekend that just happened this past Sunday. I want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, before I get to the good, the bad, and the ugly, look, Saint fans, I understand you're upset. I really do. As an NFL fan, I am upset for you. There was blown calls in that game. There was blown calls in the Patriots and Chiefs game. There was just blown calls everywhere. But this petition to the NFL and Roger Goodell to replay the championship game this weekend is a little ridiculous. Don't you think? Sure, the Saints deserve to be there. I totally agree with you. But this is getting out of hand. You're just going to have to get over it. The Rams won the game. It's kind of like me asking Major League Baseball and the commissioner back in 1993 to sign a petition because I was pissed off because the Phillies brought in Mitch Williams to pitch to Joe Carter. And we all know how that ended. I'm still not over it. Okay, to the good, the bad, and the ugly of the conference championship games. The good. How about the great? How about 2 great football games, both games going into overtime? In fact, that is the first time in NFL history that 2 playoff games went into overtime on the same day. Just the games were great. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, they were just phenomenal. That's how championship games should be played. The bad. Look, I picked both home teams to win the game and go to the Super Bowl. I picked the Saints and I picked the Chiefs because those 2 teams never lose at home. The Chiefs and Saints just do not lose at home. That's the ugly. Look, that's not bad for NFL fans. But if you're a Chiefs fan and a Saints fan, it's not fun to watch your team lose a home game. Plus, no offense, the Saints did blow a double-digit lead to the Rams. Now let's get to the ugly. The NFL officiating was ugly in both games. The non-pass interference or helmet-to-helmet call, whichever you want to call it, it was one of the 2. In the 4th quarter against the Rams, that was not called, that basically would have given the Saints the ball in Rams territory, and they could have kicked the field goal to go up double digits, or just basically ran out the clock. Bam! You send the Saints to the Super Bowl. Game over. Ended the discussion. But that play's not called, and the game goes into overtime, and the Rams prevail, and now the Rams are playing in the Super Bowl. I don't get it. How about the AFC championship game? Look, that roughing the passer call on Tom Brady, I understand it's Tom Brady, and people are arguing that he's the greatest of all time, the GOAT, but come on, that's ridiculous. The Chiefs defensive player basically barely touched him on the helmet/face mask. He didn't hold on, he didn't grab. It was a horrible call. And then, no offense, Julian Edelman with the muffed punt late in the game as well. I believe it did touch his thumb because the trajectory of the ball changed and changed directions if you watch it. So 2 blown calls by the NFL officiating crew in that game as well. Look, we're all human. We all make mistakes. I get that. But if you and I are working our everyday normal daily job or doing our normal routine, if we're, parents or whatever, if we do a horrible job at work, what are they going to do to us? They're probably going to fire us. Or if you get in an argument with your spouse, well, you gotta own your mistake. You've gotta you've got to fix it. You got to be held accountable for your actions. It's kind of like if we break the law, we're going to be held accountable for our actions. We're going to end up in prison. So why are these NFL officiating team members, these members of the NFL officiating crew, not being held accountable for their actions? You know, those 2 blown calls in the AFC Championship game and the blown call in the NFC Championship game, those refs should not be reffing next year. They need to be held accountable for their actions. So when is that going to happen? What is Roger Goodell and the NFL going to do? Are they going to make some play calling changes in the rule book to help us understand pass interference more? What's pass interference and what's not? I don't know. But something needs to change, Roger Goodell, because this is a billion-dollar company, and you are going to lose fans very, very quickly. So there's my soapbox for the day, that the NFL officiating crew needs to change, and it was horrible in the conference championship games. Okay, so that leads me kind of to my trivia question for this week. So the 2 teams playing in the Super Bowl are the LA Rams and the New England Patriots. Kind of a coincidence, because who are the 2 teams or the 2 cities that just met in the World Series in October? The LA Dodgers and the Boston Red Sox. See where I'm going with this? So there's only one other time in World Series / Super Bowl history that this has happened. Thank you to my former boss, Bruce, for giving this idea for a trivia question to ask you folks. So the trivia question is, when is the only other time in Super Bowl era and World Series history that the 2 cities met in both championships? I'll give you a hint. The Super Bowl played between the 2 teams. One of the teams is no longer in that city. They have moved. Thanks for watching. Keep watching. Get your friends to watch. Get your friends to subscribe. I appreciate all of you. We'll talk about the Super Bowl soon. I'm out of here.